welcome him on here. Patrick, good to have you here this afternoon. There you are.
Sorry, I was just over at the bookcase here looking at a book that, we've mentioned this book before, I think,
Yes.
on some of these webinars. This one is not a book that I wrote, by the way. This is by Entrepreneurial magazine, who's been out there, 30 years publishing a magazine for people who want to start their own business. And this one is a series of books called the Startup Series. And as you can see, this one is on Start Your Own Medical Claims Billing Service. And that's one of the things, of course, that our licensees do is file medical claims for doctors, in addition to a bunch of other stuff. But I just was excited, and some people probably have not been on a webinar where we heard this, but our name is actually listed right back here in the back.
Yeah. Right.
And we didn't even know it was there until I got the book and looked back there, and I go, wow, that's it. And all the information is correct about that too. So anyway, I wanted to point that out because one of the things we're going to talk about today is how you could, of course, provide solutions to doctors. One of the ways you could do is to get this book if you wanted to. It's just about $20, I think, on Amazon. It would give you a good overview of the business at least. I doubt that anybody reads this book and actually gets a business started because it's much tougher without the tools we have to do it on your own. Now, my wife and I, as you know, Eric, started this back in 1987. I think it's when we started doing the billing.
Right.
We did it on our own, but it was a different world back then. It was all on paper.
Yeah. You bet. Well, folks, you're in for a treat again this afternoon. We're going to keep going through 4 different parts of what it takes to be involved with doctors. One of the things we want to share with you today is that a handout of all of our slides that we're going to be talking about today. So Patrick, you want to tell them where they can find that handout there?
Yeah, over there in the control panel for GoToWebinar. Now that might be minimized on your screen somewhere, but the GoToWebinar control panel is what you're looking for. And there's a section there called handouts. It may be closed. You may have to hit that little triangle beside it to kind of pop it open, but you'll see it there. It's a PDF. And when you click on it, it should just download right to your computer.
You bet. There you go. You're going to have a copy of that. So again, today's topic, Patrick, is, kind of learning about this whole world, this exciting world that, we've been a part of for, ABS 25 years here now of working with doctors. I remember you telling me a few years back, you thought, wow, I didn't realize it was going to go 20 or 25 years. And here you are at 25 years here with ABS.
Well, I remember when Lynn and I actually started, of course, like I said, doctors were doing their billing on paper. There was no electronic or computer back there in 87. And I kept thinking, well, this ought to be good for another 3 or 4 years, until all the doctors are doing it electronically. Because when that did come out, I thought, okay, they're all going to do it themselves. But here we are 25 years later. They would rather not do it themselves. They want to outsource it to somebody who, has been trained to know what they're doing and it keeps up with everything.
You're right. Yeah, you bet. Well, let's start here. And obviously, when we go to the doctor does an examination on us, and they're going to find out what's going on with us. So obviously, that's part of what we've got to be able to do with doctors ourselves.
Yeah, my doctor will start poking and in my mouth and other parts of my body and go, "Hey, does it hurt there? Does it hurt there?" And I go, well, it didn't until you started poking it.
Happened to me today, I promise you, today.
Yeah. And so what they're trying to do is find out. Now, imagine you go into a doctor and just saying, Dr. Johnson, I'd like some Xanax and some Percocet and some, oxycodone. And the doctor would look at you like you're crazy. I don't know what's wrong with you. I'm not going to prescribe anything for you. But some people in marketing to doctors don't realize that that's what you're doing when you go in and say, hey, look at these services I can provide, blah, blah, blah. We don't teach people to do it that way because that does not work. We're going to teach you to do exactly what this doctor's doing. Examine their business very carefully through a practice analysis, which we'll talk about there as we go in. So, Eric, you came up with 4 good points here we're going to talk about today. I like this.
Yeah, I thought, it's always good to kind of help break it down into little chunks. People can remember that. And so obviously, folks, we got to figure out what their pain is. And then as we find their pain, we got to discover what the remedy would be for the doctor. And once we've got that remedy, folks, kind of seems like what the doctor does with us, prescribe the remedy, and then we support it. So this is the exact process of way doctors will see us. But it's the same thing, Patrick, that we do with doctors as we start teaching our licensees how they're going to actually get out there and start marketing to doctors and getting those doctors as clients themselves.
I think that's why we've been so successful as a company for 25 years, because we did kind of figure it out. And once we figured it out and turned it into a system that other people could just take and run with, they can duplicate the success
Yeah,
that Lynn and I had.
you bet. And so obviously we got to meet some doctors and then talk to them about their pain. But I think what we're, hopefully what everybody's going to learn today is, because of the longevity of ABS, we already kind of know what some of their pain marks are already. But, some of those things need to be discovered, Patrick.
Yes, the doctors are in pain out there. This is one of the reasons why Dr. Vicki Ragnar and I wrote a book here just last year called the New Thriving Medical Practice, because they're not thriving right now. They're struggling with all the government interference and insurance and all those things that came down the pike, 8 years ago. Now they are in pain, and we're going to show you how to discover that pain. They talk to one another, and so hey, all you got to do is do a good job for your first doctor, and your business will grow automatically because they'll refer you to other doctors.
Right. Well, like you and I were talking just a minute ago, Patrick, you and I, the rest of the team here at ABS, we already kind of know some of those pain points here. And I thought we would kind of go over a few of those. And a lot of people don't maybe understand how all this works. And so we're not actually trying to teach everybody about everything, but these next two slides are going to discover a few of these big issues. And one of them is a high rate of denied claims. And I'm just going to get my pen out here as you kind of start reading that paragraph through there.
Yeah, this is a great quote here from the Healthcare Business Management Association. As you can see, they say, fast forward to today, where if you don't have sophisticated claim scrubbing software, it's not unusual to have a 35% or higher claim rejection rate, which requires extensive and expensive follow-up. Now, let's talk about what that real claim rejection rate is, Eric. Isn't this the first pass? In other words, when it's first sent in, 35% of them are higher sometimes. We find is the rejection rate for doctors. And we've seen doctors with higher than that.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And folks, again, you're trying to, as you're kind of learning this whole process of everything, we're giving you some secrets behind the curtains of some of the issues of why a doctor would even think about using you. Because Patrick, I mean, aren't doctors already doing their own billing, right?
Well, that's what I tell people. Look, don't expect to walk into a doctor's office and find that they're not billing. They have to,
Right.
to get their money from insurance companies and government agencies. So they're either doing it themselves now using their own software and their own staff, or they've already decided to outsource it. And more doctors are realizing that that is the most economical way, the wisest way to do it. Turn it over to a company that's doing the billing, not just for you as a doctor, but maybe for other doctors as well. And that's their business. That's their focus. Doctors should be focused on patients. That's where number one, that's their real concern. That's why they got into medicine. They wanted to help people. And number two, it's what makes them money. So they should be focused on that and turn it over to other companies. So that's why some doctors are outsourcing, but this rejection rate is killing them, Eric, because that means that even though they're doing it in their own office, a lot of those claims never get resubmitted. They just never do. And therefore they're losing up to 35% of their revenue.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. And this is actually from the government, the United States Government Accountability Office, so the GOA. And so, again, folks, if you've got that handout, we've already got, where you can find this information. But gosh, Patrick, it looks like, even what their findings are that, these rate ranges, denial rates right there could be anywhere from 6 to 30%, over 30%. So it's just. So this is answering the question. Yes, doctors are already doing their billing. Someone's doing their billing, whether it's in-house or they've got it outsourced. But this is the results, and this is what's causing their pain.
Eric, this is money. I call it left on the table. This is what doctors don't realize. If you ask a doctor, are you getting paid 100% of what you bill? They would say no. They know that they do have some rejection, but some of them don't realize how high that is because their staff is certainly not going to run to them and tell them, probably, unless the doctor stays on top of the financial business side of his practice. If he's too focused on the patients, in other words, he forgets about the fact that he's losing money. Yes, they get checks just about every day in the mail from a different insurance company. But that doesn't mean they're getting 100% of their money that they're billing for, and we help them to get, as you'll see, close to 98% of that.
Yeah. So this is one of two of the biggest problems, and the second one is time to get paid. And it's typically it's 30 days, or if there's that means if there's no denials, none of those rejected claims. But if there are denials, the doctors can expect payments as far out as 90 days, Patrick. And so one of the things that we're going to talk about today in today's webinar is what makes us different. If we can discover these pain problems, what can we do as ABS together with all of our network of medical billers? What can we do differently? So folks, remember these two figures right here, because Patrick and I are going to kind of go through that. But
let me see if I can help people relate to this a little bit better. You've seen on invoices that you get in the mail, sometimes you'll see 2%, 10 days, net 30. Now, what that means is that the company is going to give you a discount just because you get the money to them faster. This is why this is important. It's called the cost of money. Money that's actually out there in the insurance bank account instead of in the doctor's bank account is making them money and losing the doctor money. So the doctor wants his money ASAP, as fast as possible. And we can help him get it in as little as 7 to 14 days.
You bet. And Patrick, I mean, obviously, hopefully the next question that people are asking is, okay, so what is the problem, but how am I going to learn about how to even talk to them about their pain? And I'm going to throw this slide up here so that you can kind of help start answering that question.
Well, it all starts with training. Folks, if you're on here and you don't have any background or experience at all in a doctor's office, which most of our trainees don't that come through our training, you have to be trained. You have to be taught by somebody who's been there and done that and has the t-shirt. And after 25 years, we have figured that out because our licensees are signing up doctors every day from coast to coast all over America. So we know that what we teach works. That's why it's important that you learn from somebody who's actually been there and done that. Now, I want to say this. It is important that you're not dealing with a company, though, that's currently doing medical billing themselves. Now, let that sink in just for a second. We don't do the billing right now ourselves. We work through our licensees, helping them. We know exactly what works and what doesn't work because we're the nation's largest network of medical billers, and so we get lots of feedback from them. But at the same time, we have a research and development department that this guy right here is in charge of. And that means we've actually tested these things out, and we know that they work. Now, here's why that's important. If you're working with a company that's actually doing medical billing themselves, guess what? They sold you the way to do it for doctors, and they're one of your biggest competitors.
You bet.
You don't need them in the same business that you're in. Be sure and ask them. If they are, then they're in direct competitive. And that means that they might not be helping you and supporting you and teaching you because they'd like to sign up every doctor in America themselves. We don't have to do that because on the back end, our company is set up so we make a few pennies on each transaction that goes through our technology. And so we make money on the back end without having to be in the medical billing business ourselves.
Correct.
And as you'll learn when we talk about our training here, you'll learn that our instructor, our lead instructor right now is Cynthia Anderson. Cynthia is a licensee, has been for 10 years. She came through this exact training class that you'll be going through, although it has evolved, of course, and gotten better. But she teaches it from real life experience, folks. She takes a week off. She has 11 people that work for her back in Arizona where she lives. And she lets that business run there while she's gone for that week as she teaches other people here. Now, we compensate her, of course, for coming down here to do that training, but she's also working. You've seen her, Eric. She brings a laptop. And at breaks, at lunch, and in the evening, of course, she's on that laptop running her business because that's the great part about it. You can run it from anywhere.
You bet. Yeah, and so folks, not only can you just come to our live training class, I mean, there's obviously that's where some of the biggest benefits that you can get from. Excuse me, but we actually have two ways to learn. Patrick, you want to share about that?
Yeah, well, first of all, on the left there, you see people who maybe they're going to a community college, or maybe they found something online or a book that they downloaded like this one I showed you earlier that they could be learning on their own. That's one way to do it, but then you're left all by yourself out there to know how to get clients. And without a client, you don't have a business. So when you come to our training, one full day of those 5 days is focused on how to get clients. Yes, you need to know how to do the medical billing. So we bring in laptops. You see those the very first day. You're doing medical billing using our cloud-based system connected to the internet, just like you would be once you become a licensee and get back home. And you're doing the billing. So we teach you all of that stuff, but we also want you to know, how do you get your first client? That's our goal for everybody that comes to the class. Cynthia has been there and has built a huge business based on what we taught her. And over the years, we've tweaked a few things. We get rid of things that don't work. We add things that do work. We're constantly coming with new eyes. Look at this, Eric. I just got these in the mail from our auto card system. These are cards that are now available for the licensees to help the doctor get their patients back in to the practice. You see?
That's awesome.
Do I have that upside down? Yeah. These are cards that actually go out in the mail that you can personalize on the inside with your own message and your own graphics. And this is brand new. We're constantly doing this.
Constantly updating. And then you mentioned just a moment ago, Patrick, about the hands-on. I mean, I'm going to grab that. I mean, here's those laptops that you're talking about right there. We've got hands-on of learning exactly how to do the medical billing right through there.
So the other way to learn about this and find out what their pain is to learn from somebody who's been and is actually doing it every day. We know what works and we know what doesn't work. Hey, if you want to know how to go out and spend a lot of money marketing to doctors, I can teach you that, because I spent a lot of ways trying to figure it out in the first few years. And then once we did, we continue to just tweak that and perfect that so that it's actually stuff that really does work. Every one of the dozen or so methods we teach in that class really does work.
Right. Yeah. And then if we go on, because it all leads up to one of the greatest benefits that you do get here at training is a certification. Patrick, since this is a CMRM and we got MIRMA down there, what are all these acronyms standing for here?
Yeah, if you were paying attention to Eric, I know he's a little boring sometimes. He might have put you to sleep right at the beginning of the thing, but he was talking about this organization called MIRMA. It's the Medical Revenue Management Association of America. Now that's a mouthful, but basically this is an organization that certifies each one of our licensees that go through this. So folks, you're not just a medical biller, and you're certainly not a coder, because you don't need to know the codes. They're all built into our system. What you need to know is how to manage the revenue for every doctor that's out there.
Yeah, there you go. Now, Shirley's asked a question. She goes, will we get these slides today? Yes, Shirley, if you'll look in earlier, I think we may have mentioned this, in your GoToWebinar control panel, go over there underneath where it says handouts. We should have the handouts there where you can download this as a PDF, so go grab those and you should be able to grab that. And folks, what's so great about this particular business is that we've got certified medical revenue managers across the United States. Once you graduate from us, now you become part of the nation's largest network of medical revenue managers. And the good thing about it is these other people that are with ABS, Patrick, they're not necessarily your competition. We actually utilize some of those people to help some of our brand new licensees that get going here.
Yeah, the way we've worked this, folks, it's like, I mean, you can call us a virtual office, even though we do have a real office with real desks and chairs and computers and people in them here in Fort Worth. We also have people all over the country, some of them part of our network, that we actually pay as contractors to coach new licensees that are coming in. And Eric, out of the years we've done this, none of those licensees have ever said, oh, I'm worried about those people. They're my competitors. Right. There are way too many doctors in America for us to worry about stumbling over one another. Way too many. In fact, in some areas we might have 2 or 3 licensees. Still, it never happens. We never hear from them that they ran across another licensee trying to market to a doctor.
Right. You're right. Now we're going to move to the second one here, which is we just dealt with number 1. We dealt with what is their pain. So Patrick, I think we're going to need to start moving into, okay, how are we going to fix that remedy, or what is the remedy? I guess one of the biggest things that's learned there in the live training workshop is something that's called a practice analysis. I think let's dive into that. What's all that about?
Well, as I said earlier, you've got to find out what that pain is. You don't know what it is, and maybe they don't have any pain. but
Right.
they probably do. 9 out of 10 at least, maybe 99 out of 100. So we have this practice analysis that we've come up with, and I think it's actually 4 pages now, Eric, but it continues to grow as we think of more questions that you can add to this. We go through this in class, by the way, in our live training workshop here in Dallas. We go through every one of these questions. We tell you what to expect as answers and how to ask the questions in the right way. And it's a great way for you to learn what's going on inside that doctor's office. We're poking the pain by asking these questions. And we still don't try to sell them anything when we're there in the office.
But once we get all that information, Patrick, we got to put it somewhere. And that information is going to go into, I think one of the most ingenious things that we have is got to get that information and put it in a report. What's this report going to tell us about?
Thank you. I came up with it, so I love to hear people tell that it's an ingenious thing. It's a report, and which is basically a spreadsheet program that you actually drop the numbers in from that practice analysis that you got from the doctor. So you basically leave their office and say, okay, I'll be back with a report here in the next week or so. There's no hurry about this. You want to let them know that you got lots going on, and you come back and you drop those in. And if you want to, you can pass this through our support department. Our support guys have seen enough of these to know whether or not it's a good one or a bad one, or whether you need to adjust some things. And we'll make sure that when you take it back to that doctor, they're going to look at the bottom line and be very excited.
There we go. I'm going to grab my pen there so everybody can clearly see what that looks like.
Yeah, the doctors, when you hand this to them, they're doing the exact same thing that you just did. You glanced at that bottom number down there, 122,000. What is that? Well, look to the left there. Increased revenue per year. Now, Eric, if you were a doctor, wouldn't you at least go, maybe I ought to look into this if they think they can increase my revenue by $122,000. And this is a real life example, folks, that we've gotten from the licensee. We just plugged in the numbers so you can see, look, their rejection rate was 25%.
Right.
We said it could be up to 35%. We can get it down to less than 2%, as you see there right beneath the word projected. There it is. And so that's the difference. And folks, I always tell people, look, if you come up with a number like this and you can even do half that good, wouldn't most doctors go, I could use another $65,000 a year?
Yeah, and this helps you not to necessarily sell the software. I know a lot of brand new ABS licensees who just want to get their medical billing business going, kind of focus in on that attention of just trying to sell the software. And so what this does, folks, it helps you stay out of that whole software sales mentality. It really helps you to focus on what the doctor's losing, which is their biggest pain, which is their money. I mean, obviously, Patrick, if you're working every month and every month you're losing $10,000 a month, that's a big pain.
Yes, and you know what? There are companies out there that provide some training like we do that actually have software that's still in a CD or a DVD that they install in the computer that themselves. And folks, that is a prescription for trouble, because you have all the patient's data now on your computer, and they have another little piece that you can put on the doctor's computer, and then another piece of software that connects the two computers. And that's not the way we do it. With a cloud-based system, your doctor and their staff, as many people as you wish to set up, can log into our system anytime, 24/7, from anywhere that has an internet connection, on their computer, their iPad, their iPhone, their tablet, their Windows computer. It doesn't matter. They can get into the system and see exactly what's in there.
You bet. So as we're trying to answer that question right there, what is the remedy? We have 9 different services, as you can see. Here's all 9 different services that we have. And you may say, okay, that after doing the practice analysis, you know that the doctor needs iClaim, maybe EMRX, maybe compliance guard. So you take the information that you receive and then you put the remedies together. I mean, I think, Patrick, if we go to the doctor could give us every remedy that doctor might know about. We might need every remedy. We don't, obviously, if we go to the doctor for a sore throat, we don't need a surgery. So we just need what the doctor recommends. And that's what we have here. We have 9 services that any of our licensees can use as part of their remedy of what they found through poking those pains.
Yeah, remember, we teach you to deal with their entire revenue cycle, it's called. That means all the different places that they get money in their practice, which includes the patients, of course, insurance companies, government agencies, and so forth. So what we do is we help you find the pain that they currently have. It may be that they think that their billing is under control. They're doing it themselves. Everything's fine. They at least they're in the ignorance of it is. Now, when we bring that report we just showed you, they might think differently, but the point is they may have pain in a lot of different other areas here. And you can read about all these on our website. We're also going to cover a few of these here in the webinar today, but they are also remedies for their pain.
Yeah, and once you go through that whole practice analysis, I mean, you're going to be going through some of the issues, again, that other doctors find themselves, because we're going to use this, because now we're going to show you in a moment how Dr. Ratner can be part of your what is finding out what the remedy is. But part of what you're going to learn in our live training workshop is how to, basically kind of help that doctor discover what some of those pain points are. Patrick, some of the doctors, like you mentioned earlier, they may not know really what their pain points are until we start diving down and start diving into these questions here.
One of the lessons I learned early on in business, Eric, was as the owner of a business, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And that sometimes can be very dangerous. Doctors don't realize, because they are focused on the patient side of their practice, they don't realize that the business side could be losing or just barely breaking even each month. Of course, they know that when they try to take money out of their account to, go on a vacation or buy a new car or buy their wife a gift or something. They know that they're not bringing in all that they could be. So one of the things we teach our licensees to say is, Dr. Jones, I'm going to help you get every penny that you have earned. And they love to hear that, Eric, because they know they're not getting all of it. They just don't know what portion they are not getting.
Right.
So we have flip charts that we practice with in the class, but we also have it digitally, as you can see, that you can use on your iPad or computer laptop to actually present this to a doctor. And we teach you to use this to present to your own warm market, to teach your friends and relatives what you learned when you were down here in Dallas. And some of them know doctors that need some of our services. So it's a good way to introduce it.
And one of the support mechanisms that you get here at ABS from us is that you may be doing part of the presentation, but then so does ABS. ABS will start doing some of the presentations directly to your doctors. Patrick, this is one of those asset support mechanisms that I don't think anybody in any other type of business that I know of is going to get this type of support mechanism.
Well, maybe if they bought a $500,000 franchise of some kind, but folks, for our type of business opportunity package that we market to people like yourselves, this is unheard of. We have a staff of people that actually do demonstrations of our cloud-based electronic medical billing system and our electronic medical record system to the doctors for you. Now, you can be on those at the same time, either in the doctor's office live or just on a computer, just like we are right today. And you can be watching and hearing everything that we say. But we're there to tell the doctor exactly what all the advantages are of outsourcing his billing to you. So we're doing all the selling ourselves to the doctor. And Eric, you've done some of these. The doctors on the background are saying, wow. Yeah. They're very impressed by what they see when they see the leading edge technology that we use.
You bet, because what we found in that practice analysis, that discovery one-on-one that you're doing with the doctor, when we get into these demos, when we show the doctor the iClaim practice management system and or again, the way that we can customize their personal EMR system, we're starting to show some of these what some of these remedies are, again, based upon what they're doing. And you're right, Patrick, I've heard so many doctors just go, wow, I didn't know your system could do that. Matter of fact, I was at a doctor's office today, and I just simply asked, I'm in the habit of always doing that, what system are they using? And they said, the one that's not working. That's what they told me.
You'd be surprised how many doctors are unhappy with their medical billing and their electronic medical records. They hated this when it first came in because they had to get electronic and they were doing it all on paper, which it's a comfort level. They've gotten comfortable doing that. Now they have to learn something new, and it's a huge curve for a lot of them. Not with ours. Ours is set up, as you can see in that picture there, the doctor's using that on the iPad or the tablet as they are encountering the patient, you see. And so they can be doing all their notes basically in real time, so they don't have to spend 3 hours at night catching up on those notes.
You bet. Yeah, they just do it and have a face-to-face conversation with you as a patient there too as well.
Right.
I'm looking over at the questions. We have just a few questions, and Bobby just asked, is there a digital version of the form that we sent out? Well, the only thing that we have is the PDF, but Bobby, we are recording this particular webinar, so if you want to be able to go back and watch that, that'll be in the digital format. So if you want to take advantage of that, you may. And again, folks, remember that you've got question box over there, so you don't just let Patrick and I just keep talking and talking. If you've got a question, we hit something, feel free to that, because we're going to be watching those questions as they come in. Again, we're just now going to move into prescribing the remedy. And then part of that prescribing the remedy is sometimes meeting doctors face to face, sometimes at trade shows and one-on-one trade show booths or little fairs that you can do where you can actually start learning to prescribe some of the remedies right directly to these doctors.
I think you have it on pause, unless you just haven't gone to that next slide there. Illustrating, yeah.
There you go.
And so as you can see on the left there, folks, this is one of our display booths. Well, it's on the right there too, but you can see it in the background of those people there. This is one of the booths that one of our licensees actually set up, you see, at one of these trade shows. And they don't have to be medical trade shows even. You can set this up at a home and gardens, I mean, all kinds of places, because doctors are human beings too, right? They attend those things, all those shows, boat shows. And once you've got that booth set up, you see they're drawn to that. The doctors see that and go, oh, revenue cycle management, I better find out what this is all about, because they recognize that term, revenue cycle. And what could be better, Eric, than just having people come to you and engage with you and tell them more and hand them some literature, books, and so forth? Yeah, it's a great way to market.
And then, boy, you talk about prescribing the remedy. What about our business partner, Dr. Rackner?
Right. Dr. Rackner is a very well-known doctor who retired several years ago from general surgery. And as you can see, she's written a number of books there on the left. She's been interviewed by all the magazines and newspapers in the world. She speaks nationally from coast to coast. Nationally, is that a word? Nationally. At medical conventions to hundreds of doctors sometimes. And folks, we have engaged with her to help you partner with a doctor. That's right. When you become partners with ABS, you're also partnering with Dr. Vicki Rackner. And let us show you some of the ways that you can partner with her.
You bet. Ahmad, you asked the question about, what is the average salary you should give to someone who you might hire as a full-time to help you in the business. Ahmad, that question's actually gone over pretty much in detail during our live training workshop. But gosh, Patrick, I guess that could vary from hiring someone who's a straight out employee to someone who's a contract worker, like a 1099. You just pay them by the hour.
Sure. Yes.
You could pay them by a percentage. I mean, it really is whatever fits you the best on that.
And you're right, Eric. That's some of the discussion that goes on in our live training workshop. One of the reasons that you want to come, folks, is because you want to partner with people who are also at the same point you are, starting their own business. We also have people there, usually some folks who do have some background in the medical field, either a retired nurse or even doctors have come through our training, Eric, and or maybe they've been in medical billing before. And so you'll get all this great input from these people and can ask questions. You'll eat lunch with them every day, and you'll be able to go out in the evenings if you want to and share things with these folks. And of course, Cynthia, being a licensee, can answer just about any question you want. She's very available to people during that entire week to answer those kinds of questions. Yeah.
You bet. Now, getting back with Dr. Rackner, I mean, she's written, obviously, those books, but then there's a couple of books that you and her have actually co-authored. Let's talk about those and how that actually helps prescribe the remedy as well.
Yeah, the one on the left we did, this is the one I mentioned earlier that came out last year, The New Thriving Medical Practice. And folks, this has been a huge hit amongst doctors because it's out there on Amazon. You can look it up. Don't order it, though. We can get you an electronic copy of that if you'd like to. But the point is, this one has been a huge success. And now we've read another one on the right there that's called 9 Ways That Physicians Let Money in private practice let money slip through their fingers. And believe me, this one will be a hit too, because doctors know that they're losing money in different parts, aspects of their practice. They just don't know exactly where.
Right.
And we point all that out to them in this book. This one's about to come out probably by the end of the year.
There you go. But let's talk about the book that we are working with, The New Thriving Medical Practice, Patrick. And I see that your name's down there and Dr. Rackner's name's down there. But who's Susan Smith right there? I don't know that person.
Susan Smith, CMRM. Remember, we certify you as a certified medical revenue manager. Her name is on the title page there, as you can see also. And then this is the second page of the foreword that we've already written for you. You just basically, you can put your name and the information there that you see, which is just fake in this case, but that's your contact information. That's your company name, your website, your phone number. It's right printed in the book. Folks, it does not get any better from a marketing standpoint than to have your name on the front cover of a book with a doctor. Even though it's just, you're writing the forward. It seems like, okay, they must know this doctor, and you'll meet this doctor during our live training workshop. We have a very special way of introducing her to you. So that's when you become partners, and having your name on that cover like that, folks, can mean all the difference in the world as to whether the doctor even picks up the book or relates it to you having called on them. So we're going to show you exactly how to mark the book up. So when you give it to the doctor, they know exactly what to read that piques their interest. And it's a great, I call it it's an expensive business card. When I say expensive, this book sells for $24.95 on Amazon, but your cost is our printing cost, which is about $4 a copy delivered to you. That's right. So for $4, you can't find a better business card. It's like 176 pages long. So it's a good book.
Patrick, I'm going to go over here and grab a couple of these questions before we keep moving on, because this next little section about prescribing the remedy is going to be very important. But Shirley asked the question, typically, how long does it take to get a doctor? Can you help answer that question?
Well, that's a tough one because it depends on whether you're going to be full-time or part-time. Yes, we have people come through our training that are going to run this business part-time. So that's going to take a little longer. Our average probably licensees get out there maybe 30, 60, 90 days to get their first client. Yes, that sounds like a long time, but folks, this is a real business. This is not something that's passing. It's not a fad. Once you get that doctor, you're going to be making money off of that doctor's billing every month for as long as that doctor's in practice, unless you screw up real bad.
Right.
So it comes. We've had people get their first doctor the first week out of training. That's not typical.
Right.
But we've also had people taking up to a year to get their first client. You'll hear that on some of the interviews that I've done with these folks. It just depends on how much time and effort you put into it. So it's hard to say, but 30 to 90 days is probably a good average.
Yeah. And Shirley, to answer your question about the book, if you'd like to get a copy of that book from Patrick, we can send you a copy of that as a PDF, an electronic version of that, to your email. So get with your business coach and they'll forward that to you in an email. Patrick, let's keep moving forward, because part of prescribing the remedy is explaining to the doctors what's happening with them. I mean, whenever you and I go to the doctor and we go, oh, we got this pain, the doctor starts telling us, well, Eric, this is what's happening to you. You're getting old, and things stop working. But we got to tell the doctor, as we're prescribing this remedy, a typical scenario. And so what we like to do here is to kind of show that to you right now. So folks, the typical billing scenario that you're going to find out there in a doctor's office, because again, Patrick, this is going to kind of help answer that question. Aren't doctors already doing billing? Do they have people hired? Have they outsourced that out to other people? This is the typical billing scenario that you got to pay attention to. So if you're doing anything else, get back over here and kind of watch what we're talking about here. Patrick, what the doctors can get is any type of billing software. They can go out there and get web-based systems, ones that they can subscribe to through the internet. They can get server-based type of software. They can go set up all that kind of stuff, but that's just the software. And most people think, Patrick, that if they got a software, then they're going to process claims and that goes directly to the insurance companies. Well, we're going to show you that's not the case. It's going to go to this person here in the middle called a clearinghouse. Patrick, you want to kind of help us understand a little bit of what a clearinghouse is?
Yeah, it's a company, basically a third-party company, separate from the insurance companies, that's set up specifically to receive the data that you can send to them electronically. They take that and they scrub that data and they look at it very carefully and they reject a whole bunch of those claims, send them back to you. But the ones that get through are forwarded by the clearinghouse on to the insurance company in the format that they want to receive it. They all want to see it a little differently. So that's part of why you pay a clearinghouse a fee to actually scrub those claims and reformat them. That's where it bogs down right there, Eric. This is the problem right here. This is the stranglehold for doctors' money. It's held right there at the clearinghouse, back and forth sometimes, and sometimes when they send it back, like I said, it's never resubmitted, so it goes into a black hole somewhere.
So if you heard what Patrick said, a claim will leave from here and go to here, and then some of those claims may get denied and brought back over here. Then if some of those claims actually get through to those insurance companies, the insurance companies can find even further problems and then send those claims back over here too. So we're going to eliminate. That's where we make a big turn in how we do things differently. Because folks, as you can see here, iClaim is its own software and clearinghouse together. So guess what we're able to do? We're able to send claims directly to these insurance companies, bypassing anything that might be out there. There's where we're making the big difference out there in the medical billing world.
Right. This is one of the reasons why we can claim, not just claim, but we can prove that we have a less than 2% now, Eric. We used to say 2%. It's actually closer to 1% now, but let's say still less than 2%. That's still a great number of rejected claims. And the reimbursements paid in 7 to 10 days. Eric, we actually had a doctor, one licensee who submitted the claim on Monday, and the doctor had the money from that insurance company in their bank account on Friday. Right. So it can be just as quickly as it could get, electronically sent.
Right. And remember, folks, when Patrick and I first started the webinar today, remember we showed you from non-ABS, we showed you from HBMA, from the GOA, that rejection rates could be anywhere from 6% all the way up to 30+%. So remember that, folks. That's what's out there. That's the pain points. But imagine you could take that and reduce that down to 2%. And then remember, the other thing we said is that typically a doctor gets paid in 30 days. Imagine that we can get it down less than 7 to 10 days. So here's where we're prescribing the remedy and why we're going to help you get a doctor quicker than I think anybody else is going to be able to help get you a doctor out there.
And when we show that live demo to the doctors, they get it, don't they, Eric?
You bet.
That illustration you had, that illustration you came up with that shows the clearinghouse and so forth, that's ingenious because the doctors, the light bulb goes off when they see that. They go, oh, I get it now. That's why all my money is held.
You bet. Well, Patrick, we got about 13 minutes here, and but let's wrap up with the last thing. Now we got to support the remedy. So we've found their pain. We kind of dive into what the remedy might be. We're prescribing the remedy. Now we got to support it, and we're supporting it with a complete system: practice management, electronic medical records, clearinghouse, and patient portal all together here.
Yeah, and most people on the webinar today probably have used a patient portal. It's pretty common out there nowadays. The great thing about ours, folks, is that it's written by the same programmers who wrote the practice management and the electronic medical records. So it's all tied perfectly together, and all the data that the patient puts in is then instantly available to you and to the doctor through the electronic medical record system. It's the exact same data in real time. Plus, you've probably heard of the term telemedicine. Get ready, folks. That's the future of medicine. With your phone right now, do you know that you can take your own, heart information? There's little sensors you can plug in here at the bottom and touch it with your fingers and send the information directly to your doctor. Now, through our system, we've had this for 5 or 6 years already, Eric, and we can actually have the doctor have a telecommunication with the patient, just like Eric and I are doing right now, not through Skype or somewhere outside. This is HIPAA compliant within our system that those telemedicine visits can be held, and the doctors are now able to bill for some of those.
You bet.
So it's a great way. Yeah, think about it when you go to the doctor. How many times do they actually have to examine something on your body. They're usually there just asking you some questions, taking your blood pressure and so forth. Now you can do all of that from your home.
You bet. All of that. So some
and it's
other
a lot less expensive for that visit too.
much less expensive. You bet. You bet. And imagine for families that are taking care of their elderly parents at home or whatever else. I mean, and not having to get those folks out, you can have again telemedicine right there. But again, supporting their remedy, Patrick. I mean, a lot of people on the call or that'll listen to a little bit later will ask, well, what about coding? Am I going to have to support the doctor in coding? Well, now we're getting back into those 9 different services that are already there for our licensees. Here we got coding and audit supports.
Yeah, remember I said earlier that all of the codes for medical billing are built into our system. That doesn't mean you might not have a question, though, from a doctor about coding. So guess what? You don't have to be a coder. We have certified medical coders on hand that you can submit those questions to, and that can do an audit for the doctor to find out where they're at. Are they overcoding? Are they billing too much? They can get in trouble with Medicare if they do that and fined. Or are they underbilling and leaving money on the table?
Right.
Money that's due to them. And so we can solve all those problems with our CodeWrite and Audit Guard system. This Audit Guard, Eric, this is ingenious. This is the one service that I think every doctor needs. They need to be guarded against those audits that Medicare is going to do. It's not a matter of when, if, it's when.
Right. Because if they're seeing Medicare patients, Medicare is going to end up doing an audit.
Right.
But imagine you can provide that audit preventative maintenance there, that you can do that and guard again from any particular areas that could happen in a real audit with Medicare, or really with any other one. So here's where you personally are going to get supported with coding, and then the audit part, the coding part of the audit. Then we support you also in accounts receivables, because Patrick, I'm going to say a lot of doctors may have money that's just kind of left out there. They just don't know how to go get and collect it without sending somebody to a collection agency.
Yeah, because a lot of patients are self-paid nowadays. Some of them, the insurance doesn't pay the whole thing, so they do owe a balance. And Eric, the sad part is that the statistics show that 50% of all the money that doctors bill to patients is never collected.
Right.
And so some of them turn it over to a collection agency, which is not good patient relationships. You don't have to do that. With this service, folks, this is an automated system that does all of this automatically. You don't ever pick up the phone and call a patient. You never do send any letters yourselves. This is all automated, but it collects way more than a collection agency will for the doctor. They love this. And now all of these services, of course, you can offer or not offer. It's always optional, up to you whether you offer these, but they're included in our package. One fee covers everything, and you make money on all these.
You bet. Yeah. And another accounts receivable support is Choice Pay. This is where obviously we're going into the new year. Everybody's going to start their deductibles all over again, and they're not going to be able to meet all those deductibles in the beginning. So they're going to need a way to kind of pay those out. So this is what Choice Pay will do for those doctors. So hopefully those that are on the webinar today, you may listen to it a little bit later. You're starting to get the full picture that it's more than just medical billing. We're looking at all of the revenue, money that needs to be paid, money that needs to be paid after the doctor has seen the patient. So again, accounts receivables part of it. Document management, Patrick, I mean, is huge right now of helping those doctors get some of that stuff online.
Yeah, you've seen in doctors' offices all those file folders behind them there are off to the side somewhere. Those are files that are just taking up valuable real estate inside the doctor's offices. Most of them are not current patients. Most of them are old patients, but they have to keep those records, according to Medicare, for 7 years. Yes. So now we have a way of scanning all of that into the cloud in our iDocs Now management system. You can access those documents from anywhere, anytime, 24/7. You can mark them up. You can print them. You can email them to somebody else. And multiple people in the office can all be looking at the same document. It doesn't matter how many people are looking at it because it's electronic.
You bet.
This is another service that doctors need. It's all HIPAA compliant, of course, which means it's protected and it's backed up on redundant servers and so forth. The point is that you may want to run your own business using this too. There's no paper in our office, Eric. You know that when you come to the office, it's completely paperless because we scan everything in iDocs now. Oh boy, we're running out of time.
Yeah, well, you mentioned something about HIPAA compliance, and this is the last one we can kind of chat about here real quickly. But a lot of people, a lot of doctors are still struggling with trying to make sure that they're in compliance with HIPAA, which is obviously the way in which the patient's information is protected.
Yes, here's another place that the doctor can get in trouble, like you said, Eric. And this service, folks, will train their people and keep them up on how to be compliant with HIPAA. If they're not compliant, they can get fined huge fines. Now, let me just pause here. I think this is the last one to say this, folks. All of these services are not only optional for you as a licensee and included if you want to offer them to the doctors, but you make money on all of these as well. Not as much as you will on the billing itself, but hey, they're great ways to get in the door and tell the doctor you can solve other problems for them besides their billing. You
bet. Yeah. One of the last few things that was really all the different services there, Patrick, that we're going to kind of talk about. But, folks, as you're as a licensee, you're going to need access in 24 instant access to all of this information. That's on our licensee support site. And Patrick, as we kind of wrap up this afternoon, why don't you kind of share a little bit about what's all in these licensee support sites, and that kind of gives you a little bit of time to kind of wrap up your side there too, and we can get ready to close down the webinar for this afternoon.
I think we set this up, Eric, about 6 years ago. There are thousands of training videos for everybody in your office, including sales reps. There are documents that we've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars developing for you, contracts and so forth, and training materials and marketing materials, all available 24/7. You have a login as a licensee to this private site for licensees, and it's all there for you to access anytime you want to. We have a blog. When you log in, you'll see all the newest stuff there with articles and links and resources that are just invaluable if you're running this business. This is all included, folks, for life. That is, you never pay another penny for us after you've paid that one-time licensing fee.
You bet. Patrick, as we kind of wrap up, one of the things on the support site that people get, and again, we mentioned this earlier, is ABS doing these demonstrations for you. So we're kind of showing you how to go in the licensee support site, finding underneath iClaim, requesting a free demo and consultation with us, with your doctor. Imagine that we're doing these live demonstrations between us, you, and your doctor. And Patrick, you talk about supporting the remedy, that folks that you've never been in medical billing before, you don't have any background, you don't have any expertise in this, but yet when you become a licensee of American Business Systems, you automatically gain 25 years of experience right behind you.
That's right. And Eric, you couldn't put a price on this. We answer all the doctor's questions for you. And then, of course, you're on the meeting or you're in their office at the same time, and we refer them back to you. And you take it from there and do the proposal that we'll teach you to do, proposing here's what you can do to solve their problems, including that revenue report that we saw earlier. Eric, one other slide there, and I got to run. This is a picture here, I think, of our support center. And yes, we have over 100 people in our support from coast to coast, folks, that are there to answer your questions about our system. This is a fantastic additional thing that we do that a lot of companies don't, and that is to support you for life. As long as you're an ABS licensee, you're going to have our support at no extra cost. Eric, thanks for putting this together. I'll let you wrap it up.
You're very welcome.
Have a good Thanksgiving, everybody, and hope we see you at one of our live training workshops somewhere down the line.
Very good. Thanks, Patrick. Appreciate you. Yep, absolutely.